Thank you Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So I have a crazy idea, and it's about the world of One Piece, obviously, and the mention of the red line makes me question what I know. Well, what I think I know. Time and time again, I think I'm getting close to the One Piece and what it could possibly be, and it all falls apart the more research I do, which then tells me Oda isn't human. Regardless, today we focus on geography, shout out to Tekking, as well as history, and speculate just what the heck is going on and what happened previously in the world. Because now I'm starting to question, like I said, everything. So recently we learned that an ancient race, okay, wait. Before that, you gotta sub though, because if you get this information before you sub, it's very dangerous if you don't do so beforehand, because the regret of not doing it now may taint you forever. So to protect yourself, subscribe now and drop a like, turn on post notifications. Now, here we go. Like you, I think. At times I hear about the red line, and it can sometimes be overwhelming because I wasn't that great at geography in school. I mean, I didn't really care as much because it's like, well, things are where they are. Knowing about it isn't going to change that. Well, I was wrong. So very wrong, as there are several theories out there about islands moving and being in one place initially, and even some sinking underwater, proven by facts and evidence. So with that being said, that brings us to One Piece and the red line. The red line, which is the supercontinent that stretches across the One Piece world, which is conveniently set up to not only separate the people and the blues, but also great for control and monitoring possible mutiny. Due to this setup and how difficult it is to travel between the blues, if there was per se an uprising, the world government could very easily disrupt these plans by cutting off certain routes, similar to what Orochi tried to do to the Scabbards, while not being restricted themselves, as they have the Red Port and special ships to travel wherever they would need to. So because of this, many have started to speculate that the red line was in fact created by the world government to facilitate their dominion over the world. Which, I mean, it makes sense, but how would this be done? We're in One Piece and there are various powers in One Piece that are out of this world, but what power do you think is out there that could have created a mass of land that goes beneath sea level, but too high to climb, unless you're a fish or tiger? Well, with King's recent revelation about living on top of the red line, it was so obvious to me because of the structure of the red line. And then Oda has been dropping hints. Fishman Island is directly beneath Mary Joa, but fishmen live beneath the red line. So if you have people living on the red line, people living beneath the red line, why we didn't think of other people possibly living on the red line as well? I mean, there are people living on Tequila Wolf, the bridge that was ordered to be constructed 700 years running, which does make me think about Zunisha as well. The order to walk for eternity. This is getting a little weird, but for King's race, this really got me thinking. How the heck would this race go extinct while living on the red line? Well, I have a few theories. So we know of the moon races, the Burkans, Skypians, and the Shandorians. The Burkans and the Skypians, they settled in the Sky Islands, and the Shandorians, they made it to the Blue Sea. Could King's race have settled on the red line kind of in the middle of all that? Not quite the White Sea, but not quite the Blue Sea, but the Red Wall, which was probably more attractive to them anyway because they are fire conjurers. Maybe red appeals to them. And then the red poneglyphs and all this different stuff. It is weird, right? So with them settling on the Red Wall, was their duty to guard the wall, protecting history somewhat like the Shandorians? There's so much that we don't know here. However, what makes the most sense is that they were wiped out by the current world government, and this history of whatever they were guarding was lost forever and claimed by the current world government, including location. Squarespace is an amazing online platform in which you can create your own beautiful website. Here you can create a community with fully integrated interactions through comments and likes, where you can connect with your audience through gated members only content, along with email communications and leveraging audience insights. There are awesome tools to help you manage inventory, reconciling, and even bookkeeping. It can even automatically push website content to your favorite social media channels so your followers can share it too. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and whenever you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/B.D.A law to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Mary Joa and its current location, or rather Pangaea Castle. Wait, did you know that Pangaea is the hypothetical landmass that existed when all continents were joined? That is pretty scary considering we have a race of continent pullers and oars, so things then start to somewhat come together. Or do they? because the red line could be a mass that's not even of this world, and it was aligned that way via the continent pullers in the name of the world government. But what if all this was done before the world government took over? And something I've also been thinking about is that the world government, they must have a devil fruit power that in some way forces someone to do their bidding. Because for Zunisha, I believe someone of the world government forced him or forced her to walk forever. But then going back to the red line, what if all this was done before the world government took over? What if the ancient kingdom was trying to rule the world beforehand and the world government took over for the greater good? Now that's crazy considering the world government that we know now, but what happens to the world if there is no world government? Is everyone free to do as they please? Was society just getting along swimmingly, or was a previous power controlling everything? Did the world government take what the ancient kingdom was trying to do or did and make it better? Somewhat like how post timeskip, due to the War of the Best, they took strides to solidify control even more by moving the base of operations, learning and growing. Now this is all speculation, but it's fun, so we'll continue. But the idea that the red line was created by the world government comes from the idea that the One Piece is destroying points in the red line to have all the seas connected again, meaning destroying Reverse Mountain or Marijoa. The ancient weapons also seem to be perfect for this task, as we have Poseidon, who can control the Sea King, so that takes care of the calm belt, and then also what we expect Uranus and Pluton to be, very destructive and powerful. What if the world government was not lying about the ancient weapons and that they were indeed going to be used back then, and that led to the coup? What if Joy Boy's apology ties into the realization about the ancient kingdom? This isn't discounting everything the world government has done so far, because over time power corrupts most, but what if they're not absolutely terrible, or at least wasn't absolutely terrible? Well, you cannot believe that now because the celestial dragons exist. They are easily the most despicable part of the One Piece world. So how could the world government be a force to be trusted? Well, we're getting to that point, right? With all the new recruits, all the different individuals that we feel like will take the world government into a new era. Fujitora, Smoker, Kobe. And I'm sorry, we're going off topic, but as much as the ancient kingdom we feel probably were not the bad guys, quote unquote, could they have had some bad apples as well? And also, if they were in power, had ancient weapons, were so powerful and advanced, how did they get taken over? Someone had to betray them. So I don't want to rule that out, but for the red line, Nami explained that there are different seasons on the red line, meaning there are summer islands and winter islands just like anywhere else. Frankie stated that beneath the red line, the currents of the sea are always interconnected somehow, which to me does somewhat confirm that at some point, everything was probably connected. The seas, I mean. But who built or created the red line? That's still the question. With the amazing technology that the moon people had access to by creating certain robots like the automata, it leads me to Vegapunk and how advanced he seems to be. He seems to be light years ahead of everyone, somewhat like the moon people were. Could Vegapunk be from the moon? We don't necessarily know the lifespan of these individuals, but it makes too much sense based on how the advancements of the world government has gone. So with all that being said, I wonder why there isn't a base at Reverse Mountain to somewhat stifle the newer pirates from starting out. The creation of this red line, if it was something by the world government, would have completely annihilated economies, whereas shipment and trade would be involved and would almost create a worldwide panic, and millions, if not billions, would have probably died. Constructing this massive structure to separate things to facilitate power while not thinking of the people would literally cause millions of people to die. If that is true, and the ancient history is not just the death of one kingdom, I understand why the world government is keeping this all a secret. There is speculation about which devil fruits could be used to create all this, but Sengoku mentioned Whitebeard had the power to destroy the world, which I viewed as taking out the red line because that would essentially destroy the world as the world government knew it. Because there's also a theory, somewhat a proven fact, about earthquakes, which via earthquakes, it makes water flow backwards. So it's also interesting that the world government had the gravity fruit, because was that landmass, which is the red line, brought down using that fruit, meaning from the moon or another planet, and then pulled together by the continent pullers? All the answers will be at Pangea, again meaning landmass when all continents were joined, but this information can't help but make you think, right? There's also the hole in Enislabi. We know that's been the topic of many conversations recently, but we need an explanation for that. We're piecing things together here, but we're still very far away, I think, because we just don't know enough yet. So with all those questions I presented, how many answers do we have? And while I feel like they're somewhat connected, they're important pieces of this puzzle that's needed to fill these gaps. With King's race, who wiped them out? What was their purpose? Is King the reason why Kaido knows so much about the ancient history or Joy Boy? If King is an ancient race, somehow tied to the ancient kingdom, does Kaido know what finding the One Piece would do to the world? Remember what Whitebeard said, whomever finds the One Piece, that's going to turn the world on its head. Does Kaido want to find the One Piece to send the world into a tailspin for his own personal gain? Meaning his own world war? Only time will tell. But guys, the deeper you go, it's like more water pressure. The more and more you go, you feel crushed by all this information. And then you start spiraling into so many different theories. But that's what's on my mind. All that. Give me your thoughts. Just tell me how you feel about everything I just said. I know it's a lot. I know it's all over the place, but just a mention of King's race being atop the red line led me to this. So yeah, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Guys, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost. I rewrite it.